Moving on, I'll take leaders' questions under Standing Order 36. I talk to Mary Lou McDonald.
Speaking on radio on Sunday, you gave an assurance that nobody would be disconnected from electricity supply this winter. You said, in an energy crisis of this kind, we cannot have disconnections. We are clear about that. This is very welcome, Taoiseach, welcome news, as people are now under severe pressure. The energy credits announced in your budget are already being gobbled up. From this week, Electric Ireland customers face a price hike of 38% for electricity, while Bord Gáis customers are hit with a massive increase of 45%, and other energy companies will also hike their prices this month. Your refusal to cap electricity bills at pre-crisis levels has left people wide open to these further hikes. So in reality, and despite your assurances at the weekend, households struggling to pay their bills remain in danger of disconnection. It's a very real and present fear. We know that 712 households were disconnected in the first half of this year, and that, of course, is before the impact of the huge increases in bills this winter. So workers and families, Taoiseach, need more than words. They need a real plan from government that gives them the certainty that they will not be disconnected. The government's intention is to introduce a ban on disconnections for all customers from December 1st until the end of February. Taoiseach, I put it to you that that's not good enough. It leaves people waiting far too long for protection, and the time span is too short. Because we're now starting, even now in the run-up to Christmas, it's a most expensive time of year. People come under huge financial strain and are under strain today, struggling to pay their bills today. So you need to start the ban on disconnections now, Taoiseach. It should kick in immediately, and it should run until at least the end of March. You also said, Taoiseach, that the government would protect pay-as-you-go meter users from disconnection. However, other than directing people to their local social welfare office, you don't have a plan to back up that commitment, or do you? Because once a person's €10 arrears allowance runs out, pay-as-you-go gets disconnected. Many households on prepaid meters are already rationing their electricity for fear of being cut off, and that's a horrible situation for any family. Taoiseach, ní ceart go mbeadh aon seamlaigh tuairt aig dícheangal fuinneamh an gíomhra seo. Caithfí an rialtas cosc dícheangal a thuairt isteach anois, go dtí deireadh an bhórte agus caithfí tú plán a chur I bhaim a cosníonn customary ó bheith dícheangalta. You need to back up your promise at the weekend that nobody will be disconnected with real action. So Taoiseach, can I ask you, will you start the ban on disconnection for all customers now? Will you extend it to the end of March? And will government take measures to ensure that pay-as-you-go electricity customers will not be disconnected this winter? Can you outline how that would work? And importantly, most importantly perhaps, can you tell us how quickly this might be implemented?
Well, it was by one of my got gear came then sco or gear came who fast go talking salata novon model pricena August ní an horas ac will an realta sag den of anihil car agus takiocht a hort de gachenia taglig ag sula fud natura agri gno agus agri ag sula ag tá gobar son muinte na tíre. So tá ag tuairt annach chuid takeíocht do chuoine agus tá sin séidirú ag an gána snéis a bhí going an tachtan se chatte. So I would say to the Deputy in the first instance that we are facing the worst global energy crisis since the 1970s, caused by Russia's immoral and unprovoked war on the people of Ukraine. We import from the United Kingdom about 3/4 of the natural gas we use, and about half of our electricity is generated using gas. So spiralling gas prices feed in through to the higher electricity bills. And the price today for UK gas on wholesale markets is 263 pence a therm. This day, 2 years ago, the price was 38 pence a therm. And future markets are pointing to even higher prices. in the coming months. A therm of gas to be delivered in January costs 450 pence. A March delivery is priced at 440 pence. So that's the background here. This is a wartime situation that has brought about these extraordinary increases. And I agree with you that it needs more than words to respond to a crisis of this scale. And that's why in the budget we announced unprecedented measures to support people and help people get through this winter. Electricity credits for all households totaling €600. Lump sum payment of €400 to fuel allowance recipients. Double week payment to all qualifying social protection recipients in October, and the normal Christmas bonus will also be paid. An extra €500 for working family payment and career support grant recipients in November. Double child benefit of €140 per child in November. Once-off payment before Christmas of €200 to recipients of the living alone allowance, and €500 to those on disability allowance, invalidity pension and the blind pension. And then significant additional funds for our schools, because they will have huge increases in their energy costs. School transport, parents will be spared €650. Third level institutions, the fees coming down by 1,000. Not-for-profit and voluntary organisations also being helped. Local authorities, nursing homes, hospices, all getting additional supports, and third level institutions. And then the extension of the reduction in excise duties and VAT on electricity and gas to the end of February. And then, of course, to protect jobs, the temporary business energy support scheme with a cost of about €1.2 billion. And we've brought in tax cuts of about €1.1 billion for middle-income earners, and the social protection measures package is worth over €1 billion. So those are not words, those are actions that the government has taken in respect of the cost of living package and the budget itself. We didn't agree with putting in a cap with no detailed costings attached to it, and we feel the better approach is to allocate funding to households, as well as trying to get a downward pressure on energy consumption. One of the difficulties with the kind of cap that you've proposed is there is no acknowledgement of the crisis that we're in and the need to actually have greater energy efficiencies across the board in the workplace, and to get costs down also and get consumption down. But fundamentally we're there to help. So that's why we haven't gone with the cap model as you have proposed it. We've seen elsewhere there's different proposals, but where you have a proposal that's not costed, and that could be a blank cheque to the energy companies for 2 years or for longer, that's something that we have to be extremely careful about. And in respect of pay-as-you-go meters, again, as part of its statutory role, the CRU has very clear functions regarding consumer protection, including around disconnections and protections for those on prepaid meters. And as part of responses 6 and 7, under the National Energy Security Framework, CRU announced enhanced consumer protection measures for implementation this winter, and particularly for customers on prepaid meters. They have strengthened the protections there. And we are determined in terms of to give support to those and to others.
I think you benefited from a malfunctioning clock a bit in the beginning, so I'm just telling you.
Blessed be the malfunctioning clock.
Very good, blessed be. I shop to Mary Lou McDonald.
So, these times are very reminiscent of a decade ago when the Troika was in town and when people used to ration everything, including food. I mean, I remember families having cornflake days. That was dinner for them. And now what I am hearing from families is that they are rationing their electricity. And the reality, and for many, and the fear for many, many more, is that they're left in a position of taking a decision. Do you turn on the light or do you put breakfast in front of your child? That's the reality. You gave a commitment at the weekend, Taoiseach, that disconnections wouldn't happen. Now, I want you to set out in detail what that means for pay-as-you-go meter. 200,000 households, by the way, across the state. You have made a commitment. When will that kick in and how will it work? And secondly, I have put it to you that the ban on disconnection needs to start now and it needs to run to the end of March. So rather than rehashing all of the global factors, could you kindly answer those two questions and reassure families that are afraid now and struggling?
Taoiseach to respond. The clock is functioning.
I believe I'm not rehashing any global generalities. I'm bringing the hard reality of a wartime situation in Europe to the floor of the House. I never make an apology for that, because we cannot, as you are trying to create some delusion or illusion that everything is normal. We can go back to pre-crisis levels. This is your line. We can make it all go away magically. You cannot make it, Deputy, go away magically. You simply cannot do that, and it's dishonest to people. It's dishonest to people. I'm making a point. It is dishonest in the middle of a terrible crisis, to pretend there's no war or the war doesn't have impact. I think we're doing people a disservice when we do that. We need to be honest with people. We know the war is having a terrible impact. Now, in terms of, and that is just a fact, and I don't think, it's not a mere rehashing of that. And what I want to say through the chair, if I may, the total number of prepaid electricity meters is around 340,000 actually, and 90,000 of those meters being provided to people who have experienced electricity debt to help them budget these costs. And Gas Network Ireland have confirmed there's about 117,000 pay-as-you-go meters. And through the social protection system and through the work of CRU, which is the statutory body, we will protect people. Our entire purpose is to protect people. We have no interest in not protecting people.
Deputy Mary Lou McDonald. Deputy McDonald.
And you don't answer your questions. Do your
if you consistently ignore the chair, I will abandon the session. I'm going to ask for cooperation so that I don't need to keep interrupting. Please. We're eating into the time now.